I love Christmas. I love my job. This is David Tulis. We are arguing for local economy and free market. And here now, loving your neighbor and buying local. And also, if we can amend that provision of local economy, love your neighbor and give local. And we're going to talk for a minute here with Summer Essex and her mom, Chrissy Essex, who have been involved since September in Summer Cares, which is a program to do what, Chrissy?
Well, what we're doing is the program was designed to help our homeless military veterans. A lot of them are on the streets and shelters, bridges, etc. But our goal for this Christmas, and we did Veterans Day too, is to pass out shoe boxes, stockings full of just necessities that they may need. So that was our concentration, and we've been working since September on this. So we're excited. And actually this morning we are heading to the community kitchen. It starts at 11 and ends at 12:30. Well, we will be down there passing out shoe boxes, stockings, donations, clothes, toys to any homeless military veteran. But we're also going to, the homeless is going to be involved as well. So our concentration is the veterans first and then the homeless. So it's going to be a great experience. We're going to be speaking. Actually, we have the Mayor Burke will be joining us. He will be giving a speech. We'll be singing songs, passing out the boxes, feeding them. So we're very, very excited about this morning.
Well, we heard from a federal commission before the election in which Mayor Burke was reelected that the homeless veteran problem in Chattanooga was solved as far as that agency was concerned. What do you see in the streets and on the byways of Chattanooga, Chrissy Essex?
There are still homeless veterans that are homeless, and I did reach out to a specific source probably a couple weeks ago, and there still is a problem with homeless military veterans. There's not quite as much as we thought, but there's close to 100. So we are hoping that we can work with with Mayor Burke and the city and trying to get this, problem solved. There's close to 100. And actually in January, we will be going out on the street, Summer and I, with our source, and we will physically be counting every homeless military veteran that's still out there on the street.
That sounds like an awfully big job for two women. Will you be having some help in the census gathering, Chrissy?
It will be the Chattanooga Regional Homeless Coalition. So they will be going out with us as well. So
what kind of items will be passed out today at the community kitchen?
Okay, I'm going to hold up. Here's the shoebox. And this is a big shoebox, but we have all sizes. But let me show you some of the items that we've collected. Toothbrushes, picks, snacks, of course, baby wipes. And that was the number one thing that the military veterans asked for in back when we did the last distribution. And I thought that was a weird request, but wipes, if they're out in the street and they have nothing to wipe their hands or face with, they wanted baby wipes.
Washing up before a meal.
Yes. Deodorant. Scarves. Some boxes got scarves, others got socks, others got toboggans.
One or two have Bibles in them.
We tried to get Bibles in most of these boxes and stockings. There's a small Bible.
New Testament Gideons.
The Gideons donated some. Body wash, shampoo. Also a real biggie is hand sanitizer. A lot of them ask for hand sanitizer. Cough drops. Of course, they need cough drops if, they've got a cold and they're out in the cold. Number one biggie thing that we got were hand warmers. And these things are awesome because you can stick them in your socks or in your gloves or in your jacket pocket. And it keeps them warm up to 10 hours of heat. So this was a really biggie that they needed. Toothpaste.
Now, these things have been gathered from among dozens of Chattanoogans over the past few weeks by Chrissy Essex and her daughter Summer. She is a student at Alpine Crest Elementary. Now, from where did these boxes come? And do you have quite a few of them? And it sounds like you're going to have more boxes than you will military veterans showing up today at 11. Is it 11:30? 11 o'clock at the community kitchen. I mean, you have more supplies than actually countable veterans, provable veterans.
We are overwhelmed with what we have. We have shoe boxes. We have 102. Somebody donated some money and we bought 102 stockings. So we filled the stockings. We ran out of shoe boxes. So we also use bags. Then people in the community donated bags of clothes. We have toys. So it's just been overwhelming. It's been wonderful. But we got the shoe boxes actually from Shoe Encore in Northgate Mall, and Front Runner has donated all the boxes for us to put the items in.
Front Runner is a locally owned sporting shoe store down on
Hickson
North
Pike.
Shore. On Hickson, that's right, Hickson Pike.
Next
that's
to
right.
Sonic.
Well, can we have the mic going to Summer for a second? Summer, tell my listener here at Nooga Radio on the David Tulis Show what brought you to think of veterans. Is there some connection with veterans that you have, or how did this particular group of needy people come to your attention?
Well, why I came up with this is because I wanted to be in the military when I grow up, and I thought about doing this for our homeless military veterans.
And have you met a homeless person who says he's a veteran, or is this something you've just read about or seen on television or on video?
I've met one.
What was his situation?
We actually met him a couple months ago, and he served in the Navy. He was injured in the Navy, so of course he had to come out of the Navy or whatever. But we did meet him, and we've heard other stories. We met a veteran about 3-4 months ago that told us his best friend was blown up in front of his face. Of course, he suffered PTSD from that, and he's turned to alcoholism and stuff like that. So it's just there's a need for these homeless military veterans. Summer Cares will be having a little event this morning at 11 o'clock at Community Kitchen downtown on East 11th Street. East 11th. And there will be boxes being given away. What kind of, just quickly, Christy Essex, what kind of support have people given to you? You say there's an overage of boxes given, but what have people told you about your efforts, and what kind of comments have you received or heard? Everything's good. We had 5 different boxes located in Chattanooga, Sonic, Chick-fil-A, her school, etc. And people were just amazed that a little 11-year-old wants to take part in helping these homeless veterans. So we've just had an outpour of donations coming in. It's overwhelmed. We've had monetary, we've had donations. It's just been amazing. So this has been an effort that Nooga Radio 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4 has been promoting. We think that veterans are to be recognized and regarded with great care and esteem, especially if they are having problems that keep them from having a regular domicile, a regular place. And you're expecting a few, at least a handful of homeless veterans, Christy Essex, to show up this morning? Well, we're hoping a lot more. We had about 15 or 20 show up for Veterans Day, which the word's getting out. So we're hoping we get maybe close to 50 to 75. So we're just hoping that, the word has gotten around to all the veterans here locally. So it's just going to be an amazing time, and we're very, very excited. And 2, it's not just about the veterans at Christmas. Our concentration is the homeless veterans, but we're also going to be passing out boxes and stocking to the homeless adults, people around Chattanooga area as well. Christy, thanks for joining us. Thank you. And Summer, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
This is David Tulis. We've been chatting with Christy Essex and her daughter Summer, who's an Alpine Crest Elementary student. And the program will have a peak today. The wave will crest, if you will, a large wave of boxes of donated goods for homeless veterans, and it will be at the community kitchen at 11 this morning until about 12:30, and there will be boxes given away to homeless people, especially those who identify, let's say, as former military. This is David Tulis. We're arguing for a local economy and the free market, and we are glad that you're joining us. We like Friday, and we like the fact that we have so kind of off-speed topics here on the program. Now, one thing that we want to make note of is the arrival of the free market on the internet. It has been cobbled and hobbled by the good people, those especially in the Obama Federal Communications Commission, which imposed a 1930s era rule on the internet. Think about that, kind of not a Beijing wall around the internet, but a Washington wall around the internet. And caller, you're live on the air. What's on your mind?
Well, I know the radio station is going to be there today, broadcasting live. And and I know I'm taking up some time, but I hear you and Sam Spade wasting 20 minutes talking about that con called Bitcoin, so I figured I could chime in on this and give this important event a little more time that it deserves. The radio station will be there, Hot News Talk Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4, between 11 and 12:30. The event is going to be taken at the Community Kitchen in downtown Chattanooga. So we want to encourage everyone to come on by and help support this worthy cause, because we don't want to see any homeless on the street and any homeless military veterans in a country this wealthy. There's no excuse for that. So please, everybody, show up. And I wanted to mention, too, there are homeless children, too, believe it or not. You know, when you see a homeless dad or a mom, sometimes you'll see the homeless kid. These innocent kids walking around that are sleeping in cars, that are sleeping at the center next to the community kitchen. So that means if you have toys you want to drop off, maybe you'll want to stop by Walmart, or not Kmart, they're not around anymore, or even a local store that sells toys that you want to contribute to the local economy, feel free to either drop it by the radio station on Hicks and Pike, Logos Insurance, or if you want to see everybody and see the crew, because there will be, you know, a Nooga Radio crew down there broadcasting live between 11 and 12:30. Come on by and say hi. You can still drop by more items and maybe some toys for the kids, because we're going to try to get some of those in before Christmas, and I think that would be very generous to do something. And listen, you can stop by Dollar General or the dollar store, and for a couple of bucks, $10, actually get 2 or 3 little toys that the kids would like. So, David, thank you for the coverage. Thank you, Chrissy and Summer of Summer Cares, David Tulis, Russell, Sam, everybody putting in their efforts. And just remember, we'll be doing a play-by-play, a blow-by-blow between 11 this morning and 12:30. So 11 and 12:30 at the Community Kitchen. If you really do care, if you're one of those conservatives that really do care and say, we don't need government, put your money where your mouth is. And let's show everyone that conservative talk radio, conservatives really do care about those that are less fortunate. Because remember this, there but for the grace of God go I. Never forget that.
This is David Tulis, and I'm a conservative, but I identify as classical liberal. And so we are here at Nooga Radio, and I do want to thank you. There's a hubbub downtown that Mike Perry at the Chattanooga Times-Free Press has in this morning's editions of the Times-Free Press. I think you need to make note of this story. It's one of the, you might say, the submission of our city's best to the niggling regulatory regime in the zoning world, of the same kind that has effectively oppressed the internet in the American flavor of the internet for several years now. Well, actually, for just a couple of years under the Obama FCC, and that was the net neutrality rules. What's happened at the Edney building is this: that a sign, a painted sign on the side of that building, which is sort of trying to become the haven or the hub of local innovation, the digital economy, small local startup capital enterprises with renters. There the Society of Work on one floor of the Edney building, and other groups they're trying to fill out this space, which has a city interest heavily promoted by the same people who brought us and who have been working at the Lamppost Group. But there is a story that Mike has covered in today's editions about a sign, and the headline on the web edition makes a reference to big snafu. I haven't seen the print copy of the story, so I'm not sure what the real headline is. But anyway, on the website of the TFP, there's that quote on big snafu. The problem is that a sign was put on this building while it was being painted, and the Edney building, and it is one that causes offense. And here we have a picture of the whole economy. And here, in this little encounter between members of the people who are managing the building, that's Jill Allen of Urban Story Ventures, as the story says. The Edney is what's in print there in paint on that building, and the offense is that there wasn't permission from the form-based code committee, which serves the regional planning agency. And there are some people on this panel who are concerned about allowing it to stay. Now, I believe the story indicates from Mike that a sign that's projected, a projected light sign, was shot down on account of the prospect of stray light pollution. But the concern always is, if we let something go, then we're sort of bound to let other people go. And so you have an internal mechanism in every regulatory apparatus to follow the rules strictly, right? That's why regulation is always backwards looking. It does not ever look forward, and it's always negative and fearful. Because if we have a rule, we need to honor, right? We have to maintain our own integrity as a committee enforcing these sort of soft laws, these zoning rules, which we have updated. Yes, we are not following the 1950s style zoning anymore. We've updated in the past couple of years with the form-based code plan. Now, I've said nice things about the form-based code plan in theory, but the argument against the whole is that you really can't have clean water out of a corrupted lead clogged pipe. You can't really have clean water, though form-based coding pretends to be clean water from this old pipe clogged with lead and old bits of crud and so on, which is the zoning pipeline, right? The pipeline of controls by better people than you upon your building plans, your property, your project downtown. This zoning area is particular to downtown in certain parts of the North Shore. But Mike quotes John Strasburger, the chairman of the panel, and trying to figure out, can we let this go? And there's the fear of the precedent on the one that seems to have been left alone. That is the painted one. But on the projected sign issue, there's a quote that says, "If we allow this, you may find yourself one day with someone else saying, 'I want to do what they did.'" Strasburger said, "It's a precedent." And Gabe Thomas also was quoted by the TFP as saying that he'd like to see the projected sign up, but there may not be. It sets a precedent for me I don't want to set, he says. So you have regulators always are looking backwards. That's the whole problem with bureaucracy. Whenever you establish a bureaucracy, it always looks back to the rule. And the rule is often just guarding the bureaucracy, right? Guarding the authority of that agency to maintain some semblance of control, right? And so in the end, you have really arbitrary controls. And here's why it's arbitrary. Why is it that the rule is that you can only have a 300 square foot building sign? Well, the offensive painted sign on the Edney building is according to Mike, 656 square feet. That is simply untenable. But there is no real difference. It's a completely arbitrary difference between 656 and 300. Why is 300 okay and 301 bad? Well, you see, it's totally arbitrary. And if it's arbitrary, how can you maintain the integrity and honor and dignity of your regulatory body when you look at that question? Well, there is really nothing underneath this, and zoning itself is unconstitutional, though it hasn't been properly challenged. I don't know that we'll ever have a challenge to it. Who has the money or the time to overthrow these illegal and unconstitutional claims upon the private use of property, or the private or corporate use of property, non-governmental use of property? But you, my listener, and I, we've accepted planning. Okay, if we accept planning philosophically, even religiously, you might say, the idea of predestination, right? That is the doctrine of predestination written into municipal law and municipal practice. In fact, you're just going to have to play along, and that's what most people have done. Well, everyone has done that here in Chattanooga. It hasn't been overturned, though there are strong grounds against it. Now, about net neutrality and the Edney building. Here we had effectively a form-based code committee at the FCC saying, well, we can't have a pricing mechanism. We can't have a free market. We can't have the idea of the auction, right? That's what in a free market you have an auction. The auction is something that liberals don't like, except perhaps when it comes to buying, $15 million or $150 million pieces of artwork from Picasso's tripe-laden brush, right? There, an auction's fine, but the Keynesians, the liberals, progressives, they want to maintain this heavy-handed control that FCC Chairman Pai and the majority on the commission voted to end. Right after 2 years, they voted to go back to what we had before, what the internet had before. And what everyone objects to with the FCC steps is they object to the idea of preferential treatment. What they're really objecting to is the idea that the high bid wins, right? That's called pricing. That's what's called the free market. When pricing controls, you get if you have more money and you can pay more, you get more. If you have less, well, you shouldn't be forced to buy something more than you need. You can buy a lot less if you need it, right? And that's called throttling. That's called discrimination, and it's defended as neutrality. But if you have the state enforcing neutrality in anything, what you have is really an arbitrary system that offends and hurts the poor. The poor then can't afford it. And who can't? Well, the rich. So the system under Obama favors the rich, the giant, and the mighty, even though now the big companies like Comcast are applauding.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2